hopefully you can read in between the lines.
It didn't reach that level to me to say something terrible could happen and maybe you shouldn't have gone on a trip.
We are straining our department's resources beyond the brink.
Residents of Los Angeles are going to pay the ultimate sacrifice, and someone will die.
The 20% of our fleet that's out of service.
I don't know.
Just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. You will understand soon.
The mayor of LA has just fired the LA fire chief, and you're not going to believe the reason that she gave for doing this. She's faced a lot of backlash for her decision, and she's been caught lying. There is evidence that she lied. Kristin Crowley has come out and said that she saved a paper trail. We're going to look into that in a minute, along with the real reason that's come out as to why Karen Bass was in Africa whilst the LA fires raged on. I just wanted to say quickly that since filming this video yesterday, a leaked phone call of Karen Bass has been released, which sounds pretty suspicious. So I've added it to the end of this video so you guys can have a listen to it if you want and see what you make of it, because I actually don't really know what to make of it. Crowley actually predicted herself being fired 2 months ago after she spoke out.
Did they fail you? That is our job. And I tell you, that's why I'm here. So let's get us what we need so our firefighters can do their jobs. Did they fail you? Yes.
The budget for the LA Fire Department had been cut by $17 million before the fires took place.
The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus.
But even though Crowley has been fired now, it turns out that she kept a paper trail of all of her interactions with Karen Bass and basically keeping evidence to show that she had been working very hard to try to get the fire department prepared. Basically, she was not getting the help that she was asking for. We'll look into that in a minute. So let's just quickly remind ourselves of what happened. On January 3rd, the National Weather Service issued a fire weather watch and warned of the potential for very dangerous fires taking place. Karen Bass left for Ghana on the 4th for the inauguration of the president. And then on the 6th, 2 days later, Karen Bass posted a warning to social media. The destructive Palisades fire ignited on the 7th. And then Bass returned to America on the 8th. But when firing Crowley, Karen Bass said that Crowley failed to warn her about the fire risk in advance, that she wasn't made aware of it. She even said that she had to get investigations conducted to find out why she didn't know about the fire risk in advance.
But didn't reach that level to me to say something terrible could happen and maybe you shouldn't have gone on the trip.
Why didn't it
But to
happen?
me, I don't know. I mean, I think that that's one of the things we need to look at. So 2 investigations are taking place. One internal to the city, and that's the Fire Commission, because that's mandated by the city charter. So the commission will hire an outside entity to examine everything, the pre-deployment, why were firefighters sent home, all of that should have taken place. I will tell you that I felt absolutely terrible not being here for my city and not being here for my family. I am in charge. However, the person in charge of the fire department, as I mentioned before, whenever there was a fire emergency, a weather emergency, or a hint of a problem, I am contacted directly.
So she's saying this stuff in the last few days when we literally have the evidence. She even posted on her own social media. So straight away, the media reporters knew this was a lie because they themselves were reporting on these risks all over television in the days coming up to it.
Never warned her? Did the mayor need another warning? Did she need a tutorial on the potential effects of severe Santa Ana winds? Because the Weather Service, news stations, newspapers, even freeway signs rang the alarm about extremely dangerous conditions days before Mayor Bass went to Africa. Those same weather services and same news outlets upgraded the warning on January 3rd, a day before the mayor went to Africa.
So this reporter questioned her, and you'll see she has no answers.
But what do you mean there were warnings you weren't aware of? Because I know we were talking about it on the news. A lot of people were talking about the problems, warning that this was going to be a huge...
So it didn't reach that level to me to say something terrible could happen and maybe you shouldn't have gone on the trip.
Why didn't it
But to
happen?
me, I don't know. I mean, I think that that's one of the things we need to look at.
Honestly, I think it's so unfair. I think that Karen Bass is using Crowley as a scapegoat to avoid taking on any responsibility herself. I know that Crowley faced some backlash because it seemed that she was a DEI hire. And look, the likelihood that she was is pretty high, but that doesn't mean that she wasn't good at her job. And I think what she's shown since all of this has come out is that she truly is committed. And her colleagues have done a post about this. She seems to have been very popular within her department. So honestly, it's a sad situation. And I really hope that the people who really messed up get held responsible. We can already speculate a little bit as to what Crowley might have within her evidence that she's accumulated. It's actually public knowledge that in May 2024, probably even sooner than this, but Crowley publicly warned about the dangers of a budget cut and 20% of their fleet being out of service.
These are the individuals that work on our ambulances, our trucks, our rescues, and I just want to make sure that everybody's aware that we actually have many of our rigs that are sitting at our supply and maintenance because we don't have the resources to fix them.
How many apparatus do you currently have out of commission?
Right, so I can give you those numbers right here.
Perfect.
We have out of service apparatus, we have 40 engines, we have 36 rescue ambulances and 10 of our trucks that are out of service. And you look at, well, how many actually do we have? It's close to 15 to 20% of our fleet that's out of service.
20% in a place that's known for having wildfires, and that's not being addressed. What? Nothing was done. Nothing was done about that. And don't get me started on the other stuff that hasn't been addressed. I'm going to do another video about the high-speed rail and the homelessness crisis. But anyway, Kristin also spoke out very critically about the fact that the reservoir turned out to be completely empty. And of course, firefighters were just left unable to do anything, watching everything burn down because there was no water. Pretty sick to see a person just redirect any potential blame onto somebody else. I don't like to think that the world has to be that way, especially government. I mean, government shouldn't be that way, right? In an ideal world, it shouldn't. So I hope there are some repercussions, whether it's just that people see through this and don't vote her in again, because honestly, it's not a nice characteristic. It's not something that we want to encourage in our leaders. So I also said at the beginning of this, we found out why Karen Bass was in Ghana in the first place. Why was this such a priority? Well, apparently she's placed very, very high priorities on bringing African consulates into LA.
Meet Alexander Boss, an official inside the office of Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Boss discloses into our hidden camera that Mayor Karen Bass's office knew these wildfires would happen and admits there was nothing the mayor's office could do to stop the fires.
They really had no idea this fire was like a possibility.
Of course they did. The thing is, there's nothing they can do. But red flag warnings, like, it's a big indication of fires.
Yeah.
So of course they did. First of all, she wasn't just out there like partying it up with Bad Bunny. You know what I mean? Like, so she was out there like doing work. And
what was she doing?
So right now, Ghana's trying to establish a consulate in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
One big plan of hers is to integrate like African countries to get consulates out here, and that's like a big like strategic goal of the office.
She completely prioritized international affairs that really shouldn't have been placed as a high priority. They're not the end of the world if you don't get African consulates into LA, but she placed that as a priority over the safety of LA citizens, over LA citizens' homes, over the environment. It just tells you where her priorities are, and it tells you how highly she places the actual LA citizens amongst all of that. Please let me know, what do you guys think of Kristin Crowley having spoken out against Karen Bass and then getting fired. Do you admire Kristin Crowley for speaking the truth despite knowing it would probably have repercussions? Or maybe do you feel that she deserved to be fired? What do you think of Karen Bass's decisions? I'm really looking forward to hearing what you guys think about this. Do you think this was an injustice, or do you think justice was served? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.
And just in terms of my trip, just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. That's it. And if President Biden extends me an invitation, I took it. And hopefully you can read in between the lines. But I would just appreciate and it's hard for me to tell you this, but hold tight. You will understand soon. That the situation is very dangerous, and I would never I will take the criticism before I do a publicity stunt. And frankly, a press conference at this point in time would just be publicity.
I think
the
neighbors, the property owners, and
the
residents. I mean, 41,000 people live within a square mile here.
Yeah.
2 families share a 1-bedroom apartment.
But they want to hear that something is going to be done.
They want to know it's recognized. But they want to know it's recognized.
Exactly. But if I have a choice between that and compromising something, I just have to go along with it. It's not my area of expertise. I want to make sure that you are safe. And hopefully you can read in between the lines. But I would just appreciate and it's hard for me to tell you this, but hold tight. You will understand soon.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And when I am able to talk, I will be happy to go into great detail.
Okay. And you've got me on the street, and you're welcome to call me at any time. I'll call you right back.
No problem. And just in terms of my trip, just so you know, I'm missing 2 work days. That's it. And if President Biden extends me an invitation, I took it.